Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Dorrani from VG247, and Sherif and Alex are both here. Boys, how are you?
Hello.
Good.
I feel like that was incredibly loud.
Me or just in general?
No, me. I feel like that. I came in hot there. I came in hot.
You're always energetic. I'm here like you started, and I'm checking my phone, like panicking because I thought I'd accidentally retweeted something from the website account rather than my own account, but I hadn't. So
how's it going, boys? Though you're in sunny outside, Alex.
It's a nice day. I'm not working out here, for the record, as much as I'd like to, but it's a better backdrop for the people watching than
It's beautiful.
my office, which is currently a complete mess because I promise you it's not a green screen. Then my office is currently like a dumping ground because we're having some work done on the house. So like all the crap from the spare bedroom, all my partner's winter wardrobe and all that sort of stuff is all in my office. So I thought I'd retreat out here for the pod.
Awesome. And Sherif, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you? This is looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah. I'm all good. I'm all good. Yeah. You know, you have to look to the side and actually think, are you okay? Am I okay? Nah, I'm all good, man. Always all good. Always all good. So this week, major things have happened. But I feel like I'm not sure how to word this, so I might have to cut this out. I don't know how to word this. How do I word this?
Well, I mean, you're talking about. I'm guessing you're getting at the ongoing situation with some of the revelations of stuff that's been going on at Activision Blizzard.
Yes, which is huge. And do you want to go over that and just explain?
Yeah, well, Tom obviously had a statement at the top of the podcast last week, which was just to say, we didn't discuss it last week because when we recorded, because we record this a little bit in advance, it was all still very new and it was all breaking. And we didn't quite know the full story, and also a lot of the details are quite distressing and stuff, depending on your personal background and stuff. And so I don't think we'll get into the nitty gritty details, but suffice it to say, there's some awful stuff happened, and this week that has even more has come out. Kotaku had an excellent article published on Wednesday, which sort of outlined basically Kotaku had the receipts. They were able to, through someone who had access, look at things that had been posted on Facebook by some of the people who'd been accused of horrible, discriminatory, sexist stuff. And yeah, like this goes back to 2013 or so, but they were actively posting about it, like proud, and it's shocking. And now obviously there's a big employee walkout where hundreds, if not 1,000 employees have downed tools in protest at the response, because the response was frankly a disgrace, like the way the PR responded, which was sort of to act like no wrong had been done and it's all been blown out of proportion, which seems patently ridiculous based on what has been said. So employees have downed tools, ex-employees. I think there's over 2,000 signatures on a petition that is from, or like an open letter that is from current and ex-employees of Activision, and you could only get access to that if you were verifiably once an employee. So it's very, very clear that that this is really awful. There's a hell of a lot of rot that appears to go very high. We're at the point now where the Warcraft team is frantically changing characters' names and patching weapon names and stuff to remove the names of abusers, which is just it's just shocking.
Wow, that is happening. That's a real thing.
That sort of thing is happening, and it's all awful. And I don't know what else to say about it, really. Obviously, I think I speak for all of us and the whole website when I say we absolutely just condemn everything that has been said to have happened. It's just disgusting and disgraceful. But I also think, from the perspective of us on this podcast today, I think there's only so much that three dudes, even if, as it happens, everyone on this podcast is not white, and I think there's a racial element to this as well, especially if you're a black woman. It seems like it was the treatment was hideous. But I think there's only so much that free dudes can say, and I think at some point, we need to. What I want to see is the discussions about this that are being led by women and marginalised folk. But yeah, like I said, it's all hideous and horrific, and it really gives you pause for thought about the whole industry.
Yeah.
And what the solution is to these problems in terms of, obviously the solution is the abuse has to stop, but it's how are we going to get there? How are we going to convince these multinational companies that they need to stand up and do something rather than close their eyes, close their ears, and pretend it isn't happening as long as the in-game numbers are going up? Is it that you just don't buy their games, you just don't play their games? Is it I think we've got a role to play with reporting and making sure people know what's going on at the companies that make the games, no matter how good the games are. But like I say, I think there's only so much. I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but there's only so much that a bunch of dudes can say. If you're listening to this and you don't know much about this whole situation, if you go to VG247.com, there's been a bunch of news stories about the various evolving situation with the legal complaint that kicked it all off, and then the outpouring of statements and all sorts of stuff from various employees, ex-employees, witnesses. It's all horrible, but I think if you feel up to it, it's well worth reading about. I think if you're a man especially, I think it's important for us to read about this stuff, and I think it's so easy for us to fall into, I don't know what you call it, and I was going to say complacency, but that's not the right word. But it's like there was a guy who worked at Blizzard who did a tweet to the effect of, when all this started coming out, to the effect of, I think a lot of women would describe me as an ally, and I disciplined and fired men for inappropriate actions, yada yada yada. He said this, and then 2 days later, the Kotaku story comes out, and the Kotaku story has screenshots of the group chat, which is hideous, which he was in. And so it's like that whole thing of I think we can all take a step back and take a moment to think about the way we conduct ourselves, even if you think you are an ally.
Yeah.
But I think there's it's not our voices that I want to hear from, really. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
I agree that you should read it and make sure that you're informed, like about what's going on. It is horrible. It is horrible. And as you said, we are free guys, so the perspective that we see it from is a little bit different. And
it's just I think
yeah.
so often in this industry we just hear from dudes all the time. And I think in a situation like this, the people I want to hear from are the people who have been abused, maligned, oppressed, whatever you want to call it. We are all very lucky and we have this platform, which is great, especially because we're all variations on black or brown dudes. And so it's we're extremely lucky, especially to have this platform, and we've got to use this platform to encourage the right type of change. And definitely, I think people need to educate themselves about this. Yeah, it's just hideous, and like Tom said last week, we want to make sure we cover it in the right way. And so, I'm not massively a fan of talking about it off the cuff. Other than this, which is to say, it's absolutely hideous and disgraceful, and we are, anyone out there, man, woman, any, whatever pronouns you use, whatever your orientation, whatever, I think everybody has the right to be and should be absolutely furious about this. And if you're not, the only piece of advice I can give is just do some reading. Go and read about what's happened, and I think anyone will come out of that saying this is not okay.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely make sure you're informed, and if you're watching this, people just need to do better, man. These companies need to do better. These companies need to do a lot better. But let's move on. Well said, Alex. Thanks for summarizing that. I'll have a link down below in the description where you can just get a quick link to.
Oh, and there's the Activision employees have who did the open letter put out a list of charities that they are saying, if you want to support this cause, if you want to do something, in light of what has come out. There's a list of charities you can donate to that they have put up as a suggested from the people behind that open letter.
Yeah.
So there's a tweet with that information in Dorrani. Maybe you can pop that in the description as well. And if you want to donate, I donated last night. I think it's a great. There's some great organisations on there that are helping to get marginalised people into games and help give people support and help train up young people who perhaps wouldn't have the opportunity to get into game development otherwise. So it's well worth doing.
Yeah, I'll link everything in the description. Okay, let's take a little pause. And then go back into what we've been playing this week. I always hate like this like middle section going from something that is very serious to speaking about.
Well,
speaking about
so it's been
what we've been enjoying.
It's been a weird week because this stuff's happened, but on the other hand, there's loads of new releases. So it's that weird thing of I feel like I look at the front page of the website and it's reviews of rad games and excitement about betas and stuff like that are happening, and this terrible stuff. So at least there's some games.
Okay. So firstly, what have we all been playing this week? Sherif, go first, because go on.
I've been dying to talk about this. Hopefully by the time you're listening to this or watching this, you will have seen our review and our coverage around it. I've been playing the Ascent, which is the game from the debut game from a Swedish studio called Neon Giant. They're kind of made up of, as it happens a lot of times these days, they're made up of like ex-DICE people and ex-different people at like the AAA industry. So what this game, you may have seen it like the Xbox, I think it was the Series X reveal, like one of their conferences last year, or live streams last year, and it immediately looked like something I will be into. But I wasn't really quite ready for how good and dense it was. What it is, it's a top-down shooter with a few RPG elements, some really cool abilities for like augmentations that you can, like leaps and dashes and like really like powerful like slamming, like a bunch of like really cool abilities that look good in trailer and I can tell you feel amazing to play. It has maybe one of the densest, most cluttered cyberpunk worlds I have ever played.
Cluttered in a good way, or
cluttered in a fantastic way. Like there's texture to this world in a way that I don't think even Cyberpunk, with all its money and all its like glitter, could achieve. The Ascent is a top-down game, and there's only really so much caring they can get you to have on a world that you're seeing from the top down, or from an isometric perspective, because it's not technically top down.
There you go. We actually, the reason Sherif clarified this is because we brought it up in our discussion about it. Make sure you click on the discussion as well. I'll link it down below. But sorry, continue.
No worries.
It's not top down.
I know it is. So you basically, if you've seen that game, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's slightly tilted, and the camera actually is a little bit dynamic. In some scenes, the game really feels good about certain sections of the world. So when you're like going like across like a balcony or like a catwalk, the camera will like tilt down a little bit and show you the background. Okay. It's like, oh, this very clearly looks like whatever. It looks like the game is inspired by a lot of. I was trying to think of like an example, but it's not coming to mind right now. It looks like a lot of the cityscape of like the LA of Blade Runner, the original and the modern one. It looks like some elements of like the alien design and the conversations that you're going to have in bars reminds me of like Total Recall, the original Paul Verhoeven movie, not the terrible new one. Stuff like that, where it's like an amalgamation of like very I call it blocks of sci-fi. It's like, oh, this thing is reminding me of Deus Ex. In fact, there's a track, like an ambient electronic track in the game that is very clearly inspired by the Yunakto ambient theme from the original Deus Ex. It was.
That's what I need to hear.
It's a lot of like these different elements, and usually you're like, oh well, this doesn't have an identity. Why are you pulling from all these different things? What are you trying to say, or what do you have to say? And unfortunately, the game doesn't say a lot in terms of like its narrative. The world is particularly grim, even for a cyberpunk game. It's pulling these elements more for show. I think its biggest kind of shortcoming is like really not doing anything with the fiction that it sets up. This planet called Velis, basically corporations run the world to the point that anyone who has been brought to the planet, uh, one corporation or another brought them here, and in doing so, they have basically a contract. They call them endant, which is basically indentured laborer. So you essentially are indentured to working with these people until you pay off that debt for bringing you to this planet. And some people die and never actually pay it off. That's how fucking massive it is. And you have basically no rights. Like whatever they want you to do, you will do it until you pay it off. And even like the good, like the successful people in that world, all they manage to do is that they're independent contractors. So they're still working for the corporations. They still pick and choose. That's their only boon. But they're not indentured anymore. That's that world. And I feel like the game doesn't do a lot with that. You're just working for like some people. They give you missions and then, there's a thing that's happening. Oh, and it ends.
As in the whole game ends?
Yes, the game is like it took me about 15 hours to see it all the way through to the story. Like the story missions and a couple of side missions here and there. I would say if you probably did all the side missions, you would maybe add like 4 or 5 hours to that. It's not a massive thing. But like my favorite two things about that game, so that's we're not spending the entirety of the podcast talking about it, is how just good looking the world is and how it feels lived in. You walk around, you see NPCs doing their thing. They react to you. If you shoot, they duck. They're like, "Oh, why me?" And then it's chaos. Like if you fire off a shot in areas with dense population, because you need to hit some enemy like a bounty that's randomly strolling in, you feel like, oh shit, like this isn't like any other game. Those would just fade out, and then the fight would happen, and then they would fade back in. This game is like, no. And in fact, the game constantly is going to comment on you killing civilians. And when I started, anytime I see someone coming at me, I just fire off. But it's just people running away from the fire. They're not necessarily coming to kill me. And the game will make a comment about that. It doesn't really do anything about it. You can just, if you want to be like a GTA psycho murderer, you can do it. I wouldn't do it because, why would you? You're a professional. So yeah, the stuff you can see, like the anytime you use an elevator and you see like the people like going about their day, and like you see like the world in the background happening of like an ad for like a clinic or like a really weird like a thing for an insurance company, like all this stuff is happening around you, and then you have in your head like the mission that you want to do, and it's so fucking cool just to walk around, listen to ambient music, and just like kind of listening on like what are you talking about? Oh, someone's talking about someone who died, someone's talking about this. It is just spending time in that world. I want to do that more of. And then the other thing about it is just the combat. It is so good. The world, the environment is destructible, not on a level of like a Battlefield or like any of those games, but a lot of the like cement would fall off, grenades would leave craters in the ground. Like even your bullets, the way they pass through enemy bodies, you will feel like bodies were rend, like the flesh were rend as like the heavier caliber bullets passed through them. It's really quite intense, and like when a fight breaks out, you see like, oh yeah, this environment is reactive. Like things are like detritus is falling off, like things are being destroyed around me. Like it's such a cool action game. I just wish it did a little bit more with its world and story.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you described it better here than you did on the actual review video. You made it sound amazing here. You made it sound really good in the review video, but here, whoa.
Well, in fairness,
James,
this
is in Game Pass, right?
Yes, it's Game Pass on Xbox and PC.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, James was a little not as hot on it as I was, so he was like kind of the balance in that video, which I liked.
Yeah, I think everyone's gonna pick it up. As I said, if it's on Game Pass. So if you've got a PC, if you've got an Xbox, if you're sitting on the fence, there's no need to download it for free. If you don't like it, no money lost. So the Ascent. What about you, Alex? What have you been playing?
A bit of a mix. A lot of Japanese RPGs, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, let's just run down it real quick. So I've been continuing to play Pokemon Unite. Really good, really cool. I was not expecting it to be anywhere near as good as it is. Pokemon obviously does a lot of spin-offs, like you don't even realize, I don't think, I certainly don't, until you actually look at it on a list and you go, holy crap, there has been so much. But like this is probably, I would say, the most important Pokemon spin-off since Go. I think it's just, and I think it's got the potential to be absolutely enormous, especially once the mobile version comes out. So that continues to be cool. I wrote a little thing on the site about why I think it's cool, so you can read that if you so wish. I also have been playing over the last couple of weeks now. I've had it for over a month. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So a little bit of background, obviously, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney, they are, and the Miles of Edgeworth investigations games, they're all obviously one cohesive universe. They're all set in the present day, and they're lawyers, they're defense attorneys and prosecutors, and it's basically an adventure game where you are going to the scene of the crime, looking for clues, stuff like that, gathering clues, and then going into trial and trying to prove your client's innocence or guilt in the investigation games. And they're pretty cool. These games came out on the 3DS in Japan, I don't know, 6 years ago, something like that. And Capcom made the decision not to localize them, which happens with this series. Like originally, the first 3 games came out on GBA. They never came west. Then they did DS ports. They brought the DS ports west. And then like everyone in the main series has come west, but then like one of the spin-off series, Investigations, only one of them did, and all this sort of stuff. So it's always been uneven with this series. So these ones didn't come west, I think because they were a spin-off, and I think because of the subject matter. But now they've done this HD remaster version. It's on PC, PS4, and Switch. Rest in peace, Xbox users, even though the Ace Attorney collection is on Xbox, which sort of sucks. And yeah, it's interesting and it's different. So this is a spin-off that is basically a prequel to the whole series, except it's not like a directly connected prequel of here's how Phoenix Wright became a lawyer. It is, here is a guy that is Phoenix Wright's ancestor by hundreds of years. And basically, what the game is actually about that's really interesting is these games are usually just soap operas where it's like, somebody gets killed and then there's all the peripheral characters around them and you've got to figure out who did it. And it's like every little case is like a little Agatha Christie murder mystery, but more dumb. And some of the cases have wider overarching plots that get very exciting, but that's what it usually is.
Is it voice acted fully?
No, this game is actually about the way too much text. I mean, it's an adventure game. They're meant to be read in their way, but this game actually is. It's actually about Japan emerging into the world, in that it takes place right around the time that Japan was first starting to have interactions with other countries on an international scale, aside from those sort of immediately around them in Asia. And at the time, Japan was sort of building a fairly close relationship with Britain. And so this is about Phoenix Wright's ancestor going to England and learning to be a lawyer on the boat on the way to England, and then turning up in England and spending a lot of his time there defending murder suspects. But the game's got a lot interesting to say about that period of time for Japan and how Japan changed in that period and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really funny. I don't think it's as good as the original Ace Attorney games, but that is a hell of a thing to beat. But I do definitely think the thing I've written on the site, which will be up by the time this goes out, is that it's sort of quietly casually slid its way onto my Game of the Year list.
Okay. Did you not
I've
expect
really enjoyed it. No, not particularly. It's 2 games, by the way, I should say. So there were 2 of these games, and they're both bundled together in this collection. So it's a lot of game for your money. And yeah, it's like if you enjoyed Ace Attorney, what's interesting is this is just different enough that I think you'll find something to love in that sense of it not just being more the same. If you didn't like Ace Attorney, is this the best jumping on point? I would probably say get the Ace Attorney trilogy of the first 3 games in the series and do that instead. But yeah, it's really really good. So that's the second thing. Yeah, and these games are not typically voice acted. You know, it's there is voice acting, you know, but
Yeah.
it's relatively it's relatively minimal, you know. It's just, you know, barks and shouts and stuff like that. And some scenes
Objection! Just randomly being shouted.
some scenes that are between some scenes that are in between cases. And I get the logic, and maybe for the next Ace Attorney they will do that. But I actually think sort of like a Don't Think Monkey Island. I don't know. You can go back to a lot of games, right? And almost some of the joy, even when they have voice acting, some of the joy is in reading that text. When you look at
Yeah.
like Final Fantasy VII Remake, right, where the way characters talk has had to change because the way it's written wouldn't work
Yeah.
in a voice acted modern context.
How so? Because I want to. Why wouldn't it work? Because in my head I have like a reason, but what do you think the reason is?
I can't explain it, but it's like there's a literary, you know, dialogue that you read, your brain processes it in a different way to dialogue that you hear. And so
Yeah.
I think,
Is it
yeah,
because they
maybe they'll do it
explain
for the next
everything
one.
they do?
No.
Like in
But maybe
animes.
yeah, well, that's a pretty good
Yeah.
example, right? But
Maybe.
maybe they will do it in the next game. But I don't think this game particularly suffers for the lack of VO, to be honest. But yeah, so that's really good. So I've been playing that. And the other thing is Final Fantasy. The Pixel Remasters are coming out. So that's the first 3: Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, and Final Fantasy 3. And they are do-overs of these games. They're a bit weird because it's like Square Enix, the way they talk about them, they want to almost sell them as this is the definitive version of the first 3 Final Fantasy games. Or the first 6 Final Fantasy games. But the thing is, so what they've done is they've redrawn the graphics. So there's new sprites, enemies, background, stuff like that. It's all at least been touched up, and in many cases outright redrawn. There's new music, which is by far and away the best thing about the games. The what they've done with the score is excellent. Excellent, just brilliant. Like, props to them.
Did they change it? Did they change it or just adjustments?
Yeah, well, obviously you think about it, you know, NES music, it's
yes,
4-channel chiptune basically. So they've gone in and done these like orchestrated almost versions of everything. Sounds fabulous. But then the weird thing is these are based directly on the original version. So in the case of 1, 2, and 3, that's the NES, the Famicom versions. So any content they added on PS1, on WonderSwan Color, on GBA, on PSP, all that content is gone. So in the case of Final Fantasy 1, for instance, they added a bunch of post-game dungeons that were honestly the best dungeons in the game because they were designed with modern sensibilities as opposed to 1987 sensibilities. And also those dungeons added in bosses and stuff from other Final Fantasy games. So it's like they were bringing bits of Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6 and stuff into 1. I think one of the games even, I think it's 6, adds like a summon from 8, Diablos.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So all that's gone for this release. It is just the original NES, and then for the 4, 5, 6, the SNES versions of these games. And that sort of sucks. I was hoping these would be the definitive versions. I wrote an article on the site sort of saying, before they came out, saying I want to be excited for these, but Square Enix has a pretty shocking track record with their remasters, with support and stuff. Like Final Fantasy IX, there are bugs on Xbox and PC that were fixed on PS4 2 years ago, and Square Enix did a tweet saying, we're going to fix this bug, and they never did. And so they're guilty. The mobile version of the game doesn't work at all. Final Fantasy IX now, it's just broken. Doesn't work on iOS or Android. It's got like 1 star on the App Store. which I think is disgraceful. And so part of me is like going into this. It's hard to get excited because we know what Square are like, and it'll be a disaster. However, they are they're fine. They're fine. They are fine and dandy ways to play these games, especially in the case of Final Fantasy 1 and 2, where your choice is really a dead platform in the sense that you can play PSP or GBA. Both of those versions are great, but then the versions that were out on Steam before and mobile before were ass. So this is definitely an improvement on those. 4, 5, and 6 will come out. Well, there isn't an official release date, but there was a leak from the Steam database that suggested that Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6 will be coming one a month for the next 3 months. So one in August, one in September, one in October. And those are the ones that I'm more worried about because Super Nintendo games, those have aged a lot better, especially 6. And when you start making changes to 6, changing the music, changing the sprites, there's that, remember that woman who tried to fix that painting of Jesus and just ruined it?
Oh man!
Sherif knows what I'm talking about. And I'll
there's like some
recording.
restoration. They wanted to do some restoration to an old painting, like I think like a classic painting, and then it looks so bad. It's like it is. It's the disgrace. It's like there's no way someone had like good intentions doing this. Like if you just had just.
Oh, she definitely did. Bless her. It was like a little old lady, and in her, I think it was in her local church, there was a painting of Jesus, a mural of Jesus that was hundreds of years old.
Just
and
Google
she
it.
decided she was going to fix it, and
she
the
just
fix
painted
looks like
over
the fix looks like it was done by a preteen, basically. It's extremely bad, and so there's a risk of that effect with Final Fantasy 6, but hopefully not. So stay tuned, and I will report back when we get those games. But I'm going to continue playing 1, 2, 3. The other big thing to mention, actually, is
sorry, I've just looked at the image.
Yeah, okay. Now you know.
The other big thing to mention is Final Fantasy 3 has never had a Western release in the 2D form. So they obviously did a Nintendo DS remake of Final Fantasy 3 that was in 3D, but the third Final Fantasy game, by which I mean the actual third Final Fantasy game, because obviously 6 came over here as free and all that. But the original Final Fantasy 3 on the NES never came out in the West, and neither did 2 at the time. But the difference is 2, they then put it out on Game Boy Advance and they put it out on PSP and stuff like that. But there has never, ever, ever been the original version of Final Fantasy 3 playable officially in English or French or Spanish or whatever. So that's pretty exciting. It is the very, very first time that this classic game, that at this point is 31 years old, has ever come out in the West. So that's pretty cool. And I haven't got to 3 yet, but I look forward to. I'm going to work my way through them because the first early Final Fantasies aren't that long. Like you can do FF1 in 18 hours or something. So I'm going to work my way through them. But I look forward to playing the 2D version of 3 because I've only ever played like a really poor fan translation patch back in the day. So I look forward to playing this official translation. But yeah, so I've been playing that. And sorry, I'm hijacking here, but the last one I forgot about this is I've been playing Flight Sim on Xbox. It's fine. It's really impressive what they've accomplished. It's obviously nothing on PC ultra specs, but it is. Is it 60
works. FPS on Series X?
You know what? I don't know.
What did your eyes tell you, Alex? What did your eyes tell you?
No, so this is the thing. I've only played it on Series X for about 15, 20 minutes. I've played it mostly on Series S.
I wouldn't expect it to be 60 FPS there.
Because I was it's not 60 on Series S, that much. But I was curious. That was the version that I wanted to see because I was not like, what's the best case scenario? How close can it get to PC? I was like, how are they going to get it to run on this hardware at all? And it runs pretty decently. They make the sacrifices where they have to, right? So sometimes when you're a bit closer to the ground on Series S, it's like, ooh. However, you can hop in a plane and fly over your neighborhood and go, there's my house, or fly past somewhere familiar. And what's lovely is it includes all the world updates that have come out so far. So they've obviously had the UK one, they've had the Japan one, they've had the US one. So it's like, I remember at launch flying down the Las Vegas Strip at night and being amazed by the sort of default Bing Maps version of that. You fly down it now and it's like, it's bonkers. How real it is and how close it is to the real thing. I'm gonna play
Alex
a
done
bit
a
more over
video
the
on that, by
weekend.
the way. So make sure you go and watch the video for Flight
Oh
Sim.
yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if because I know they shipped an update to like an engine optimization update alongside the Xbox version. So it's supposed to make it run a little bit better on PC, which was it wasn't running bad on PC before. It was just very demanding.
It was a
especially
processor
on
thing,
CPU.
wasn't it? It wasn't optimizing for multiple cores in the right way or something like that. I believe something like that. So it
I know
should
it was
make
very
quite a big difference.
CPU intensive.
Yes, it was. Yeah, I upgraded my CPU because of Flight Sim.
Yes, I remember that.
Even though I was completely, fine on every other game, it's just that it was really CPU bound. Even when you were throwing a 3080 at it, or it would have been a 2080 Ti at that time, I guess, right? But yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm going to test it a bit more on both consoles and do a write-up on the site. That's one of the things I'm going to do today because we've recorded day in advance. I'm going to sit down and look at the Series X version in a bit more detail. Digital Foundry, the boys over there have already done their video, and it's sort of everything you need to know. They think it's absolutely ridiculously brilliant. I agree. Alex sort of has the lowdown there on there's on stuff like the resolution scaling and all that sort of stuff. It is. I've just double checked. It is a 30 FPS target, which I thought it was, but it can go above it. It's not locked 30, so it depends on what you're doing. So if you're just cruising down the runway, you will get up a bit. But when you're in the skies, obviously, and it's drawing a lot of stuff, it's gonna drop. And to be fair, this is the thing: on a RTX 3090, you can struggle to get 60. So at native 4K, so it's not that surprising. But yeah, I think Series S is the one that I've just been really impressed. It is only 1080p, but it is native 1080p. But I'm just astonished that it runs at all, really.
Yeah. One thing you said, because this has happened to me as well, that you upgraded your CPU because the game was too demanding. Of course, you said that. That happened to me with Cyberpunk.
Oh, what a shame.
And I was like, I had a 1080. So when Cyberpunk came out, I was playing it on a 1080, yeah. And I was like, hold on a second, I'm playing all these other games, and everything is running smooth. Like there's no game that I still can't put on ultra with the 1080. And I was just like, what's going on here? I built a whole new PC. No, I didn't just get one upgrade. I built a whole new PC because of how Cyberpunk was running, and I didn't even end up playing Cyberpunk when I built it. I just said, nah. Has that happened to you, Sherif, at all as well?
The thing about
that's go on, Alex.
I was going to say the thing about Cyberpunk is I think in many ways that's the first next gen game. Then I would say Flight Simulator. Well, that's on PC anyway, because obviously Sony's had some really good looking stuff. But I'd say that's the first next gen game, followed by Flight Simulator, and but it was also really poorly optimized. So it's like Cyberpunk was always going to need a powerful rig, but then it was optimized like shit. So it didn't run well, even in the balance of its own ambitious
killer combo.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like for me, it's always been a game that made me pull the trigger. Like I like to keep a good cadence on upgrading, current situation notwithstanding. But it's always a game that's like fucking all right, fuck it, just do it. I think the first time I did this was surprisingly enough a Battlefield game. It was Battlefield 2.
Oh yeah,
I think I got like a 5600 or some 5200 Nvidia graphics card at the time. Because my old, I think it was like I don't even remember what it was at the time, but like my old one was just nah, dude, you're not going to be able to play this. And it's been like over time, games like this. Right now, there isn't a lot of stuff I can kind of coast with the 2080 Ti, which is still plenty powerful, especially if you can factor in things like DLSS, which is what a great.
I would hold out for the 40 series now, to be honest. There's already the first rumors about that, right?
Yeah, it's that's the thing. I was like, I'm okay. But now looking down the barrel at like Battlefield and Forza and like all the stuff that's coming out late, and I'm like, What if I do a trade in now? How much would I pay compared to what I would have if everything was normal and then everything was priced as it would? I'm like,
what? Like, sorry to like cut
no.
you, but
I'm just having these conversations in my head now.
Nah, it's just like buying these things is now so fucking long, man. Excuse my language, but like things can't just come out and people can just get what they need anymore. And I hate that so much. You can't
it's a chip shortage, right? Like it's to do with COVID and all sorts of other stuff, and it does suck, and it's affecting everything. It's like there's a thing called a retro tink, which is a little independently created device that lets you hook up old consoles to HDMI, and it applies filters that make it look like a tube TV, so that like in hardware processing, like it's an FGPA, so and it looks way better than doing it on an emulator or whatever. And I've been trying to get one of those, and I just missed the July shipment for those bloody things. So it's everything from big to small, but it's getting better slowly but surely now over the last few months. It's improving.
Saying that as well, speaking about things that have been hard to get, the PlayStation 5 has sold 10 million. I thought the way that everyone was carrying on in the world and, oh my God, I still can't get a PlayStation. I thought they would have sold like 100.
Yeah, but but this is the thing, right? It's selling out. The reason you can't get one is because probably, 30 million people want them and they've only been able to make 10.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's probably 30 million yet, but you know what I mean?
It's probably, but they can't make
the upgrade thing is... And same for Microsoft, right? Like Sony's leading, but Microsoft is making them as quick as they can, and they are X's are never in stock, and S's are rarely in stock, I would say.
Yeah.
What you were just talking about, the first ever PC game I did a PC upgrade for. I was very young. Bought the PC version of Sonic CD, and we didn't have enough memory to run it, and so we had to get.
How much memory did you need?
That would have been
36 MB.
That would have been. I'm trying to think what year that would have been. Like maybe 95, maybe. So I would have been like 6 years old. I didn't know what I was doing at all. I'm just looking it up now. 96. It was 96.
Oh man!
And I had to change the memory in my PC in order to play Sonic CD. I've still got that PC. It's in
the loft somewhere.
It's in my mum's garage. This is where it is. That's where it is. It's put aside.
It's funny sometimes when I look at like how games have progressed and like the requirements now. Like I was in CEX the other day. So Sherif, I'm not sure if you know what CEX is.
It's a shop. What CEX is.
Yeah. And I was in there.
It's where you go to sell your phone for weed money, basically.
Basically, you go to trade in old shit. And I was looking at their shelves, and they had like a really old like football game, and the requirement was like 12 MB RAM to get this game to run. And I was like, how far we have come. Like in the world. Now we're requiring gigabytes worth. Like, I don't know, man. I think that is so sick. We've come so far with technology. What have I been playing? I've been playing Pokemon Unite. I think we need to have a conversation about this, like an actual dedicated conversation about it, Alex. I have been meaning to get some videos out for Pokemon. They are coming, but every time I play Pokemon Unite, my thought changes. Every time I play. I'm like, okay, this is good. Okay, no, this is a bit problematic. I don't know if I can continue. Oh, this is a bit pay to win. Oh, hold on. Actually, I'm actually getting these things at a steady pace.
It is a bit. It's fairer than I thought it would be, but I didn't have particularly high hopes for it, I guess, is the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think it's still week 1, so it's just a bit of fun, really. It's just a bit of fun. I feel like you can't take it too serious. I see a lot of people on the Reddit.
Pokemon has Worlds, the World Championship thing, right, and all that sort of stuff where they play. Like they're gonna do esports with this, so they can't have it both ways. It's either a bit of fun and it's pay to win, it's unbalanced, or it's an esport. Which is it gonna be?
I think they're trying to they're on both sides, and I think they need to pick a side. Really,
and credit to them,
because
everything they've done up to this point has been both. Like, you look at the trading card game, you look at the main Pokemon games,
oh
you look
yeah,
at Pokken and all that sort of stuff. All that stuff's been balanced. So this is a sort of a first, isn't it? Really?
yeah, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. I think I'm actually recording a video, like just a playthrough, because my Cinderace is 10-10. My Cinderace is what carries people to victory. What else? I'm not sure.
You play
Death
much
Store.
of Death Store? Yeah,
Death Store is what I've been playing. What a game, man! I love it when games are just this good. So I'm putting up a video. It's 4 reasons why. The title is, you probably didn't play Death Store, but you should have. Because I see a lot of people in the industry talking about Death Store, but I don't see a lot of like my normal friends like looking out for these sorts of games. Because when they're not AAA, when they're not big budget, people are just like, nah, look, what do you mean you're playing a sword wielding crow? Like, what do you mean you're like these sort of creative ideas? I feel like they don't get a lot of limelight, and the marketing doesn't really extend into the wider audience. It's sick, man. The combat is very basic. I'll tell you that for free. The combat is very, very basic. It is challenging in the fact that, you know, it's like you take 4 hits, you're dead. And some of the bosses are massive in comparison to your actual playable character. It's filled with puzzles. Everything is a puzzle. And there's like certain sections where you go into this section, you figure out like the first puzzle, and that's the theme of the puzzles going forward. And then you get to the next section, and then the theme changes. But it's one of those games where you have to put the controller down and look at the screen for a bit, and you're like, what do I actually do here? What do I actually do? And yeah, there's plenty of times where I thought, okay, let me. You know, when you want to Google something, I feel like I'm so spoiled these days. I want to Google like a walkthrough. I'm just like, no, I can't. And I did it in the end, and I'm still making good progression. Devolver Digital, they I don't know, their games are so wacky. Every game they seem to release is
they make killer
creative.
stuff, man.
Yeah, everything's so wacky, everything's creative. And one, like, if I could summarize like this in Death Store in one sort of like sentence, it would be that it reminds me of like games that I remember playing when I was younger. You know, that's what it reminds me of. A similar game that done that recently was Hollow Knight. For some reason, Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
These games where I can speak to my friend and say like, yo, like, where are you in this game? And like, did you beat this boss or that boss yet? Or like, how did you beat this boss? And like things like that. You don't really see that in games these days when I'm playing like Valorant or Apex. It's just like, oh, did you read the patch notes for the new update on Valorant? Lord, you see that the Vandal's got 2 extra damage. It's like, nah, that's all crap, man. I want to know, did you complete this boss? Did you, like, I don't know. Yeah, Death Store is sick.
I think that's what a lot of people love about. I think that's what a lot of people love about Souls, right? Like as well.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm still quite new to the whole. What do you mean? Sorry, you're gonna have to elaborate on that. Water cooler. I've never heard that.
Water cooler moment is like, you know, I know we're all now remote and all that, but like when you work in an office, you know, it's what TV strives for, it's what movies strive for. It's a big thing for Marvel, right? Is like you watch their film or you watch you know, Loki, and then when you go to work the next day, you stand around the water cooler or the coffee machine and you talk to your colleagues about. And yeah, I feel like games that are like that are rarer than they should be, really.
Definitely. Or when like news about games comes out, it's all negative. Like, oh, this game, you walk 10 steps and the floor beneath you just disappears because they forgot to patch in something or something else. It's just like, I like that.
Yeah.
No, I
you want the good water cooler, not this game doesn't run water cooler.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the perfect way to discuss it. And it's filled with I'm not sure if you saw the clip that went around about the UI where someone accidentally cut one of the signs in game instead of reading it. And the UI when like you would normally click on it to say, this location is that way, that cuts as well, and things like that. I love like attention to detail and little features like that. That is what makes games, honestly. Like the last time I remember
Someone
seeing
on that
something
dev
like
team,
that. Go on.
Someone on that dev team played Ocarina of Time. Like, 'cause
Oh, is
was
that in there as well?
you could cut the signs, right? And then you could play. I can't think what song it was. Was it Zelda's Lullaby? But one of the songs made the sign go back together. So you cut the sign, and the pieces would all go drop on the floor, and it would cut based on how you sliced it with the sword as well, which is pretty good on the N64. So if you did a horizontal cut, it would cut off the top. If you did a vertical, and then there was one of the Ocarina songs where if you played it, the pieces of sign would float off the floor and float and come back into position. I want to say it was Zelda's Lullaby that did that, but I'm probably wrong. Yeah.
Nah, I'm a big fan of things like that. I'm a big fan of just seeing someone like must have just said to their studio like lead, like, can I put this in? Are you like, can I just add this one thing into the game? Little things like that, and yeah, it's awesome. But that's all I've been playing recently. I've been like dabbling on Valorant as I do, of course. That's like my main game. Everyone has like a main game, but I've been playing that. It's been chill. But I'm just looking forward to Halo, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. I wanted to play today, but didn't get invited to the thing. I did actually apply for the insider thing, but they had their technical preview like showcase like video just to get everyone like acclimated to what's going to happen. And it looks sick. Did you guys watch it?
Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet.
I caught a few kind of the interesting bits of it. The game looks incredible. They showed a full match on Series X playing Slayer, and they showed like early on in the stream they showed Xbox One gameplay, which has never been shown before.
Yeah. That wasn't the best though, by the way. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah,
I think
it
was the guy playing though. The guy who was playing made it look worse. I saw people in the Twitch chat going, "What the fuck? What's going on here?" Like, you could have at least got someone half decent. Because then when they showed that Slayer game, the guys were like
pro player or something.
Yeah, they're on job. I was like, okay, what the hell? But sorry, continue.
But no, they showed some of the extensive customization options for the PC version. They showed you can have multiple keybinds for the same function, a bunch of stuff. Like they have like a tagging, like an Apex Legends pinging tagging system now.
Yeah,
they let you drop weapons for the first time in Halo instead of like having to pick something up and just switch it. Like a bunch of really cool, like it looks like they're really paying close attention to at least to what I care about, which is like the PC side of things. Like there's an FOV slider. It looks extensive. And then the gameplay looks great. Of course, I love Halo.
But this is the first Halo being developed with PC in mind, like not like an afterthought, because I know they've had to do so many things with Master Chief Collection, and the term they used is like flights are basically preview builds, and they've been doing that a lot for Master Chief Collection to get it up and running on PC over the course of Master Chief Collection's lifespan. So they know exactly what they're doing now. They've got the blueprint. They've brought so many games over, so now they get to do one out of the gate for Halo Infinite. I have a feeling it's going to be good news. Like when this game fully launches, I have a feeling it's going to work right. All the correct settings are going to be there. It's going to be able to run on a lot of different systems, because the settings do look pretty cool. And just FOV slider, man, like little things like that. Just because I didn't play the Master Chief Collection on PC. All of my Halo memories stopped on console, and there was no FOV sliders, anything like that. So I'm used to like massive assault rifle in my face, but now I'm gonna be able to just have that wide field of view, because FOV is everything, man. FOV is everything. It makes the game feel a lot more I don't know, less claustrophobic. Not like you're like you're this, like it feels like you're this close to the screen sometimes, even though,
especially if you're playing on a desk like we do on PC games.
Yeah, man, it's horrible when playing at low FOVs. But it just looks sick. I just want to play it now. I've got nothing else to say really about it, apart from I just really want to play play Halo.
think there's going to be plenty of opportunity. They're going to be running tests very regularly now for the rest of the year. So hopefully, we'll all get an opportunity.
It's a 2-month-old build as well, though. That's something they were quite adamant in saying. It's a 2-month-old build, and they've stopped. The build that they're working on internally is like it's unstable. Like all the new features in there, but it's just like mad unstable. But yeah, I'm excited to finally. Sorry, this painting of ruined Jesus just popped up on my other screen again, and it's just making me laugh.
That was what the mobile versions of Final Fantasy VI was like before now. So,
yeah. Anything you guys want to say about Halo, or are we just all sharing the same sort of thoughts of you want to play it?
Yeah, that's it. I just want to play it. You know. I'm in a weird place where I'm not even sure how much I want to do lots of technical tests. I don't know if I'm that sold on that game that I don't know if I'm just like happy to wait and play the final thing as soon as they're ready for me to play the final thing, you know. But I'm all over it basically.
I love the name technical tests. You know how they don't want to call it like a beta or like an alpha version or like stress test.
That's very
this
deliberate.
is a technical test. So if anything breaks, this is what you're here for. That's what they're gonna say. You're here for. You're not supposed to be enjoying yourself. You're supposed to be testing our game, bastards. That's what they're gonna say when all the posts on Reddit go up. It's like, oh my god, I fell through the floor. Or a game has been delayed, guys. Kena Bridge of Spirits, one of my most anticipated games for next month, has been delayed until September. That is, that sucks. That sucks. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's it looks neat. I think it's a 1 month delay, so it's not massive. I think you'd still get it in September. I feel like it was maybe quieter in August. You would have maybe had a little bit more time to appreciate it, but now in September it's kind of getting into the kind of busy.
The big hitters months.
Yeah, but yeah, Kena always looked good. I want to play it for sure.
Yeah. Alex, anything to add?
Yeah, I echo all of that. It's not a huge delay, so I'm not too upset about it. I'm hopefully it lives up to because it looks nice.
Yeah, I say this all the time, and I said this on one of my own personal podcasts in the fact that when like studios announce that a game is being delayed, I don't know why I hate it so much. Yeah, I don't know why I hate this so much when people quote the tweet saying, take as much time as you want. I don't know why, because I don't know why, because in my head that just goes without saying. Like, of course, if your game is not done, of course, just go ahead and finish it. But I don't know.
People want to pat on the head. People want to pat on the head.
Like, bro, do you know what I'm thinking in my head? Holy shit, I don't get to play the game I was looking forward to at the time that I thought I was going to play it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they shouldn't go ahead and finish their game. But
I'd rather they say that than fuck you. Where's our game? You know, yada.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's the counteract. I'm not sure if I feel like there was a time this popped up, and I'm not sure what game it was. It was Cyberpunk. Of course, it was Cyberpunk. It was Cyberpunk when Cyberpunk got delayed. Is it 3 times or 4 times?
I think 3.
3 times. So I think it was around that time when people started doing this with every game delay. Just make sure you finish your games. Get the hell out of here, man. I wanted to play this when I thought I was going to play it, and now I'm upset because I enjoy video games. Does that mean you should not like finish it? No, go ahead and finish your game, man. Shit, I'm going to be upset over here though.
Yeah, that's fair enough. As long as it's like polite upset.
Yeah, of course. Just don't be an arsehole. I feel like it goes for literally everything in this world.
In life,
just don't be an arsehole.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, anything else? I think that's all of my notes, what we've been playing, and Activision, Cambridge Spirits, Halo gameplay. Is there anything else you guys wanted to just check out into the...
I just wanted to talk a little bit about the new studio that was announced yesterday.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is it's called That's No Moon. Reference to the Star Wars. Yeah, it's a reference to a Star Wars line, of course.
Yeah.
the original Star Wars. This is a AAA independent studio with $100 million funding from Smilegate, whom you may know from Crossfire, the massive free-to-play game in Korea. They have a bunch of other investments in the West. But this is essentially the reason why I wanted to highlight this today is that it had like the names attached to this thing. It's like a super group almost of like really veterans of this industry. The two names in particular that I wanted to point out is Taylor Kurosaki, excuse me, who used to be the narrative director at Infinity Ward, and together with Jacob Minkoff, who used to be the design director. They basically transformed that studio, beginning with Infinite Warfare, and then the landmark, of course, Modern Warfare, 2 years ago. Before that, they were at Naughty Dog, and now they suddenly, I think, like earlier this year, they announced that they're both leaving Infinity Ward, and this is where they ended up. They have like a bunch of other people with them. They have someone from Giant Squid. I think the business that the let me get this right. They have people from Sony. They have product development from Sony. They had people from EA. It's a massive thing, and they say their goal is to be around 100 in teams. They have teams in San Diego and LA, and the only thing they said about the project is that it will be an action adventure game that will push the limits of both gameplay and story. I don't know what that means.
What does that even mean?
But those two, like Kurosaki and Minkoff, they have strong narrative experience. Obviously, on Naughty Dog and Infinity Ward. So I think when you have those two attached, it's making a lot of big promises. They don't mention multiplayer. I don't know if it's going to be multiplayer or not. It seems like something with that big of an investment is probably going to be multiplayer. But yeah, they don't really talk about what it is, but it's exciting.
Yeah, new studios.
In an age when studios are getting bought up as well, it's good to see something new getting founded that is relatively independent. You know, what are they called? Smilegate. You know, obviously established, but not in the Western space in the same way as they are in Asia. And I think we'll see a lot of this. You know, we're obviously seeing Tencent making big moves as well. Which is good because that's sort of going to hopefully offset all the acquisitions that Sony and Microsoft are making.
Yeah, I think this studio, so it's safe to say you're not going to see this game for like 5 years or something like that. Or
it's going to be ages. Might be longer.
Yeah. Nah, big up, because we like to see new studios. New studios means more ideas. Not every day, you know, subdivisions of larger studios making games. Create a new studio, do your own thing, be creative. We need some more creativity in the games industry. Is it, I think?
Well, we've got plenty of creativity, but the thing is, a lot of it, and there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot of it is independent, right? A lot of it is indie, where they're making games for, you know, $100,000. So the fact that this is a big studio that's got 100 million that isn't attached to Sony or Microsoft is interesting, because that's going to be, you know, with that amount of money, they're clearly going to be targeting a AAA game. I think the question is, obviously they've said it's going to be narrative. Is it going to be a single player game? Is it going to be a servicey game with a big story element? It'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Everything's going to be live service. Everything's live service.
They don't specifically spell that out, but this is just me projecting. Like $100 million is a lot of money. Maybe they're making like a Last of Us. Maybe Smilegate wants to make like a Last of Us type game, which those games cost about that much. So maybe that's what. It's not multiplayer. It's just a really strong, high production value single player game. I don't know why you would hire these two people without having at least that being part of the experience, because those two are not. You know, they're not known for multiplayer. They have contributed to multiplayer, obviously, but you have these two names. The first thing that pops into your head,
you said Last of Us, and I'm just thinking about Last of Us factions. If that's ever gonna see the light of day. But that's a discussion for another time, because I don't know, man. Sony, bro. I don't know what they're on, but this is number 6. of the Definitely Not a Podcast.
God, we're on 6 now.
We're
I
on
apologise
6.
to people who are watching the video version for me with my arms all over the place all the time, but that is a working farm behind me, and there's a lot of flies. There's a lot of flies.
What do you mean? You're just in your bedroom. What do you mean? That's a green screen. Stop trying to convince the people. Right, yeah. Peace out, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
See you next week.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed it. It's free and you can always unsubscribe at any time. Take a look at our other videos if you like. Also, check out VG247.com for around-the-clock gaming news and updates.